Hi guys, it's Colette. Welcome back to my channel. This is something different for today. I've written a short story a few months ago and put it up on the coffee shop for people to download the PDF for free if they like the story. And a lot of people said they would like to hear me read it for them. And I thought I'd do that today. I'm not the best reader at all. Um, I'm quite dyslexic in reading, but when it's my own words, I'm not too bad. I don't know, maybe because I've written them and I know them. But I hope you enjoy the story. And if you do, you can download the PDF in the link in the description box below for the story and for free, and enjoy it as a wee gift. So I'll be reading the screen, so just bear with me. The Giant. The giant began to rouse himself from a nap that was only ever skin deep. The people of his land had been duped that he was asleep, and during his slumber they merrily enjoyed the pleasures that his absence permitted them. Some drank and danced. Some made plans for the years to come. Some gave blessings for the giant's deep sleep and hoped that maybe he would die and they would be rid of him forever. But that isn't the way that giants go to their deaths. Giants can slumber to regain strength. They can nap to rest their brains on their bellies. They can fake sleep with closed, twitching eyelids so that the people were taught their truths and sign their death warrants. Their loose tongues incriminate both them and their kin, all the while believing that a sleeping giant cannot hear their words. Giants do not like to hear that they are losing the respect and fear of their serfs. They do not wish to be told of their waning reputations of fierceness compared to other giants. They simply won't tolerate the ridicule of the dissenters from their rules and that of the lesser giants who live close by, and should be impressed, nay frightened, by the power of the giant's foot to crush them. If the neighbouring giants are not afraid then why would those of the lands far away across the oceans and mountains fear him at all? The giant knows that he is both the land and the people. In years gone by, the people were aware of this too, and very few questioned it, because when the giant was well and regarded as the truth bringer and the provider, then they were fed and wore a coat of specialness that kept them resilient, even though it did not protect them from the cold. The winters were so very cold, but the people knew little else. They were regimented and forced to sing and dance in honour of the giant. They never knew they were regimented, so they never questioned it. Some did and simply disappeared. So why would anyone dissent, or worse, speak the dissent when it was so dangerous? Yet giants do need to sleep, and the people became loose-mouthed as they realised that in other giants' lands it wasn't so cold. Indeed, in those lands, people could dance and sing to tunes of the minstrels that they loved. They could choose to speak out and not worry whether their giant heard them. They could love whom they chose and wear colours and read what they wanted. They could have the realisation that they were regimented if they were, and choose to learn how not to be. Of course, it was only ever the serfs that were contained so. The giant generally tolerated and sometimes even encouraged the elite to thrive and adopt the pleasures of the other giants' lands. Those people understand that there were two ways of living and only one that they desired. Excuse me. These elites wandered to the other lands and brought back chants and baubles that entertained the giant. As their appetite for more than sustenance grew, so did the giant's appetite, because he was both of the people and the land. As they became bloated with their shiny baubles and petulant egos, so did the giant. The giant knew that if his elite humans ingratiated themselves in other lands and in the courts of the faraway giants, then he too would be seen as an elite giant, one who needed to be respected and even feared. While the giant snoozed in his stupefied pride, the serfs were not unaware that the elites were living and thriving while they were working and dying. Some dissenters whispered, then talked, then shouted. Others listened and joined in, but many put their hands over their ears as they would not hear bad talk of the giant. He may not be perfect, but he was their giant, and those elites were as much controlled by him as the serfs, but they just didn't know it. They really thought they could be free of his body when they wished and not have a price to pay. For some serfs, this equality of deception was enough. The giant eased himself out of sleep while still giving the appearance of deep slumber. He heard the dissenting voices of the serfs and the boasts of the elites as to what knowledge or gains they had made while he dozed. He knew that he had to bring all of them back to the body. Neither the serfs nor the elites could separate themselves from him, or he would split and die. There would be no choice but his choice, or the land would collapse and the other giants would enjoy the spoils. This giant was taught by those giants before him who kept the people indoctrinated and afraid. He knew that all giants have to be clever enough to have both elites and serfs do his bidding. He knew that elites were only allowed to flourish if the serfs did not understand or perceive the inequality of their lifestyles. Many giants of the world knew the same, but chose to allow the serfs to believe that anyone could make it to the top with hard work and a dream. This escapist view was nurtured by just enough money, just enough health, just enough numbing releases, and a feeling of exceptionalism because of the dream. Even the serfs, who were seen as the lowest of the low, were given a sense of potential and a scapegoat to hate. And so, the other land giants still had control without it looking that way. If the giant is both the land and the people, then these other giants held their bodies together less by fear and more by outrage and hate. They had duped the people into looking away from the giant while he used sleight of hand to thrive. So now the giant of the overfed elites and the underfed serfs heard the derisory voices of the people and other giants. He could punish them all. He knew how. His ancestors had taught him well. Even if it meant that the serf mothers had to give their sons to the giant and his desires, it meant nothing to him. The serfs were numerous and stupid. He had no regard for them other than what they provided. He knew that the indoctrinated mothers would give their sons willingly for his cause, not understanding that his cause would never benefit them or the people. The giant was huge, and losing some serfs and even taking some wins himself would be worth the glory for him that would keep him feared and safe for hundreds of years. The answer was war. The giant stretched and told the elite to come back to the land, bringing their spoils with them. The elite realised that their wealth and status were just a mirage. Had they honestly believed they were free? The serfs saw the elites come back and thought that the giant was bringing the errant children back to be equal with the serfs. Yet elites will always find a way to avoid being associated with serfs especially, if the serfs have to suffer or die for a cause. The elites will not be free, but they will be freer than those below them. Their mothers will find a way to protect their sons. For the giant to bring war and to slake his thirst for power, he only has to convince the serfs that another giant is the enemy. He needs them to fear the loss of their giant and their way of life, even if their way of life is a jumped up illusion. He makes the serfs of the other giant the other, and in othering them, makes them vermin and easy to exterminate without conscience. The serf mothers give their sons, believing that the deed can be done quickly and their sons will return as heroes. Their giant will conquer the neighbouring giants and there will be parades and glory. If food is short supply, then it's okay because all must suffer for the cause. What was the cause again? In years to come, will anyone remember the cause? Or will it be subjugated so the mothers can mourn the deaths of their sons with pride and without feeling it was all for nothing? So the giant goes to war and many serfs are killed. He sends more and more. He ignores the fact that there are few serfs left to man the railways, tend to the harvests or make weapons of death and destruction. The giant is blind to suffering and loss because of his pride and his power, and also because his elite can't bear to be truthful with him lest they incur his wrath. As the serfs die and yet more are sacrificed on the altar of ego and want, the land becomes untilled and the food becomes scarce. The serfs die of hunger and diseases, and it starts to affect the elites. The elites plan the downfall of the giant. Some elites disappear. Some die early. Others capitulate and continue to lie to the giant and tell of his greatness. The other giants protect their own. They defend and then they attack. They tear at the giant's flesh when he least expects it. He cannot allow himself to sleep for fear of not being in control. He is weakened by his own optimism for victory and his disregard for the wounds that the land is incurring. He doesn't know that he is dying. The giant is both the people and the land. He has prescribed his own death by allowing the serfs to be killed and by allowing the land to be gouged and torn. He waged war ultimately on himself. This was written by myself, Colette Brown, in February 2023 and is copyrighted. Let's see if I can get back to the camera now. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed that, and if you like the words you can download them from the link below. Tell me what you think of it kindly, and I'm sorry for a few breaks and wobbles in the reading, but I hope you enjoyed the reading too. Let me know in the comments. Please give me a thumbs up and subscribe if you like this sort of thing. Many blessings now. Bye.